You tweeted, community note, in Chicago there were 23.3 gun deaths per 100,000. In Baton Rouge, Kennedy's home state, there were 45 gun deaths per 100,000. In New Orleans, also Kennedy's state, there were 65.3 gun deaths over 100,000, third highest nationally. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad this issue, we have to just keep saying it. All of the highest gun death states are red states.
Right, exactly. And this is, I think, less about firearms and more about racist dog whistles, because the idea here is if you speak Republican, when they talk about Chicago, what they mean is scary black people.
Yeah.
It's like when John Kennedy's talking about Chicago, he's telling his people, fear the blacks. And then, we know the other code words, like, for example, San Francisco is fear the gays. And what else is New York is fear the Jews.
Yeah.
So when they say those words,
we
you know exactly what they actually mean.
Yeah.
So this is John Kennedy. He doesn't care about gun laws or anything like that. This is telling his racist white voters to fear black people, and you don't want your city to become Chicago with all those black people in it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's saying with his fake accent.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it is fake. And by the way, he's as fake as...
Please.
He's like Larry the Cable Guy of the Senate. I mean, he's not the real, that's not really him.
Yeah.
He went to Oxford, for God's sake. You think he's walking around the Oxford campus talking like that?
Yeah.
No way in hell. He is a grifter of the highest order. This is a...
By the way, speaking
faker.
of which, you helpfully retweeted Andrew Yang, who said, why on earth would you go with the 81-year-old incumbent with a 39% approval rating, blah, 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 when you have a year to find an alternative? And you said, advice from a political tourist who's not even a member of the party and who's won exactly 0 elections? No thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go again, right? With just, as you know, Rob Ryder was on with us yesterday, and he said this over and over. In a head-to-head, Biden and Trump, he's not worried. It's all of these wild card egomaniacs like Bobby Kennedy and Andrew Yang and Jill Stein and God knows who else, right?
That's exactly right. This is upending democracy for social media clout. That's what Andrew Yang's all about. All he cares about is the business model of incorporating himself into the political conversation. Yeah. It's like Connor Roy from Succession.
Yeah.
He wants to buy his way into the conversation. That's it. And in this case, Andrew Yang is scrambling the playing field as far as the Democratic nomination and trying to convince people that the normal idea of an incumbent running for re-election and not really being challenged in a primary, that's somehow abnormal, and that shouldn't be the thing, and therefore running people like Marianne Williamson or whoever is a smart idea, which it's not. It's absolutely not. There's one human being on this planet who has, as far as electoral count goes, has defeated Donald Trump in a major election, and that is Joe Biden. There's no question. I mean, I know. I love Gavin Newsom. I love some of the Democratic bench. Obviously, we've got a great bench lined up, but none of them have defeated Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in an election. So I mean, it's ludicrous that we're sitting here having this conversation about something that never happens, and when it does, usually that incumbent loses the election.
Yeah, I'm about to get in a fight with Malcolm Nance, who could kill me with one finger, or perhaps his spy ring. But but I don't know, because I don't know if
not to argue with Malcolm Nance when he's right. Yeah.
No, I don't know if he was saying, if Biden, decided to retire, he's saying, here's the next, president, Kamala Harris. I'm down with that. But if it's Biden's choice, I don't know. But if Malcolm meant he should step down, then I couldn't disagree more. I think that's an incredible gift to Republicans to have this successful an incumbent decide to step down.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Biden stepping down would be an extreme circumstance. And I think doing just willy-nilly saying, okay, well, maybe you should sit down now, I think is a disaster in the waiting. I mean, it's going to be an S show with every Democrat getting into the mix and the Democrats in disarray meme that would arise as a consequence of all of that. Yeah. It's just a disaster in the waiting that would only help Donald Trump. And just the very fact that they're running in the first place weakens Joe Biden. It generates this idea, well, there's blood in the water. Look at all these Democrats. These Democrats must know something if they're running against Joe Biden, thinking that he's too old, or the economy is jankier than the numbers indicate. And so that's just the very existence of these primary challengers.
Yeah. Well,
Weakens the incumbent and makes it more likely that Donald Trump is going to win.
Exactly. As you tweeted, Trump, one, won't end inflation. Two, will trigger a recession like all Republican presidents. And three, will take away your health insurance. Every vote against Biden is a vote for economic disaster, among many other disasters. I mean, that's the other thing, is his insane hatred of Barack Obama, talking again about he's going to get rid of Obamacare this time, which has at this point now, I don't know, 60-70% approval rating. And I assume his health care plan will be here in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks,
Yeah. He has no plan other than to. It's like this great woman from TikTok we played yesterday about all the people. They just want to tear everything down, starting with Trump on down to these third-party candidates. It's like, the home improvement show where all you do is demolish with no plan, right?
Yeah. Chaos is the new cocaine. I mean, it's a lot of people are really into that. So it's just it's.
Wait, didn't you last week say libertarianism is Scientology for politics?
Yeah, he's so good at this.
Well, that was mine. I mean, I made the libertarian one. That was a creation of my own. The chaos is the new cocaine is from the morning show. I just want to make sure.
Oh, that's
on
true.
Apple TV.
Yeah,
I'm quoting a show.
Oh, there's a hot lesbian affair. I've seen it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so there it is. Yeah.
Anywhere Juliana Margulies is having sex with Reese Witherspoon, I am there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes down to the economy, it just drives me bananas that every time we face an election with a Democrat, and especially a Democratic incumbent, we end up back in this place where people forget that Republicans are a disaster for the economy. Every time a Republican is in control of the White House, they preside over a recession of some significant depth. Donald Trump, the most recent Republican, I can't believe we're sitting here with Donald Trump as a contender again. But given the fact that Donald Trump presided over not one major recession, but in 2019, prior to COVID, he presided over a manufacturing recession. And this is the guy who was supposed to be building things, and with his infrastructure weeks and all that stuff, it ended up in a manufacturing recession. And so...
Yes, I heard you correct yourself on the Bob Cesca show with co-host Jody Hamilton. Jody Hamilton is the Kevin Bacon of broadcasting at this point.
Yes.
She's 1 degree everywhere. But that you said every Republican has brought us a recession. I think because you'd said on the show last week, last one or the last two, you're like everyone since Taft, right?
Yeah, exactly. Silly me. I said, oh, yeah, the last couple of Republican presidents. It's, as you said, it's every Republican president since Taft has presided over a recession. There were a couple
of
Republican
presidents. And he would have if he could have gotten out of the bathtub, but he couldn't. He was stuck.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Well, there was a couple of them that inherited a recession. But statistically speaking, every Republican president since Taft has presided over a recession. Yeah. And good Lord, if you want another one, you know who to vote for. Yeah. But why on earth would you do that? The economy is significantly improving. In fact, third quarter GDP was just revised up from, I think, 4.9% to 5.2%.
Yeah.
That's the growth of the economy right there in a very easy to understand number. And yet people are like, duh, let's try the idiots again who always crash the economy. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with the... Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a serious short-term memory issue.
Yeah.
With the American
people. But also, once again, we're up against the media. You tweeted, or you retweeted Matt Gertz, who said ABC, CBS, NBC news programs provided 18 times more coverage of deplorables than vermin.
Yeah.
Than Trump directly quoting a Hitler speech. So
right.
Well, I thought of you. Well, obviously today's Outdoor Bike Day, as it always is when you're here. But I did a 40-mile ride this last Saturday, and I was thinking of you because the last 10 miles were uphill, and I thought that's going to be this election. That's going to be this election cycle.
God.
The last 10 miles fighting the media, third-party candidates, God knows what, Russia, God knows what else, right?
Yeah, well, we all of us here in the room need to like hold hands and clutch onto each other for dear life, because the next year is going to be so incredibly insane. Yeah. Things that we have never seen before, that we can never anticipate. That's what's going to happen this year. I mean, there's this collision course between Donald Trump's criminal trials and the election and the appeals and whether he's convicted and what the legal aspect of all of this is with the 14th Amendment. And it's just unprecedented what we face, and it's all because so many people in this country are deluded enough that they have decided this guy, this ridiculous cartoon character, game show host, tyrant, is qualified somehow to be president, given a rap sheet a mile long, and the other guy, Joe Biden, is disqualified because he's 80. It's just we're just
also
American
a T-Rex could eat Trump
on
in the outhouse in the last
not our T-Rex, but a T-Rex.
Right.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In the final moments,
Right.
that you never know what's going to happen in this election cycle. Bob, you are correct. Let's all hold on to each other.
There's going to be velociraptors in the streets. It's going to be mass hysteria.
Yes.
Dogs and cats sleeping together.
And I will cling to you very closely, but not in a three-way sort of way, just very closely.
Yeah.